Hello and welcome, everyone. We have joining us today David Moretta, and I'm Caitlin with Our High River. And David is joining us today to talk to us about his position, and he's running for a seat on council. So, welcome,
Well,
David.
thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you doing these just to help people understand candidates' positions a little bit better. And especially since, we may not have been able to sort of get across everything that we needed to during the forum. So I appreciate you doing this extra work. This is really great. So thank you.
Well, we're so glad you could join us, and we're going to get right into it. We'll start with the first question for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're running for council, and why High Riverites should vote for you.
Well, I think most people would know me from the Whistle Stop Diner. So Danielle and I have lived in High River here for a decade, and there's a little bit of family folklore there. She tells me, and she swears this is true, that the very first time that we actually drove through downtown High River, when we came here looking to see whether or not this was the type of community that we would want to spend the rest of our lives in. She swears that we drove by the Whistle Stop, and I pointed to that and I said, wouldn't that be fun to own that? I don't remember that, but she swears it's true. Um, anyway, here we are now, and for the last 4 years, of course, we've been completely restoring, renovating, and relaunching the Whistle Stop. And I'm extremely pleased in what we've accomplished over the last 4 years. And our goal has been to turn it into a big attractor for downtown. We really felt when we had the opportunity to buy it and restore it that really, if we didn't do it, nobody else is going to, because it's personal for me. My father was a dining car waiter on the Canadian. So as a kid, I have all these childhood memories of the trains and my dad in the dining car. It's a nice full circle for me to
That's
be
so
able to
that's so
to
cool.
yeah, I go in there every day, and there's a picture of my dad on the wall, and like it means something to me, right? But in addition to that as well, we felt that it was really important to the economic recovery of the downtown core after the flood, that there were attractors right downtown that would help bring visitors back into the downtown. And I'm really happy to tell you that this was the busiest summer that we've ever had on the train. The turnout was phenomenal. We decided to open 7 days a week this summer, and to be perfectly honest, I can't believe, looking in retrospect, that we could even possibly consider closing on Mondays and Tuesdays now during the summer, because that would have left so much money on the table. Mondays and Tuesdays turned out to be just as busy as every other day. So it was a
Wow.
record summer for us. And to be perfectly honest, most of our clients now are coming in from outside of High River. They're coming in from Calgary. And I talk to those people every day, and it gives me a really unique understanding of what's happening in the downtown core and what can happen. And it's there's such potential, and you can be successful in the downtown core. And I know that we're in this transition period right now, and that's why I'm running for council, because I really do see that we are at this point where the previous two councils have been dealing almost exclusively with recovery from the flood and infrastructure rebuilding, and absolutely critical work. But most of that is done now. And so now it's time to switch gears into sort of finalizing what we want downtown to be. Oh, my tea is here. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm
No worries,
just
no
get that.
worries.
So I think this is a great window of opportunity for the town, and especially the historic area, where, in a weird way, COVID. If you're looking for any kind of silver lining, COVID has been actually pretty good for High River, in the sense that so many people are visiting small towns now because there's nowhere else to go. They can't travel. So half our clients are coming in from Calgary because they're just doing interesting day trips to small towns. And I think a lot of people had written off High River after the flood. And, you know, that's starting to change now. And I think, it'll happen organically. People will sort of come and they'll visit the place, and word of mouth. I just don't want to see it sort of take 4 or 5, 6, 8 years to sort of get to somewhere interesting. I want a plan that sort of gets us there now within this next term. Um, Everything is there, everything's in place. People are wanting to come. The town is finished. It's a beautiful, downtown. It's a beautiful place to visit, and I think we're so close. And that's really, you know, that's been my incentive to sort of run to make sure that people understand that there's been a lot of concern about what to do with the downtown. I think it needs to be visitor oriented. That the whole experience of coming to that particular part of High River, the historic area, needs to be more along the lines of the success that you see in towns like Black Diamond, Turner Valley, Nanton, Cochrane. We don't need to be better than those communities, but we need to be on the map, and we need to be a player for those types of visitors that are looking for that experience. And it comes down to little things like the weekends are our busiest days of the week, and most businesses downtown are closed. That's not fun, to tell people when they're asking what else can we go do. Well, there isn't a lot. You can go walk through the park and look at the buildings, but that's about it. So there are things that can be done, easy things that can be done to sort of help High River catch fire and move forward. And that's really my major reason for running, is that I want to see us succeed, and I want to see us on the map as a successful, cool little town that people are looking forward to visiting. And the more visitors we get, the more interesting businesses that we get, the more people want to move here, and the bigger the tax base, and it that fits with my overall philosophy of a rising tide floats all boats. And so, the more successful the downtown core is, the more successful the overall community is, the bigger everything gets. Everyone wins. So that's really that's my number one issue, and that's why I'm running. And I'm very encouraged to see that there are a lot of people running for council that are similarly um, they have a similar perspective.
I love your passion, David. It comes across.
Thank you.
So, um, that kind of segues into our next question. And I think I know what your first answer will be. But what are your top three priorities if you are elected? And how would you work to move those priorities forward?
Yeah, so I'll speak quickly about the business development angle. I mean, I think there's a real opportunity here for an overall plan to be developed just to get High River back on the map again. Um, I would like to see it being developed though from the business community side of things. I want to see the chamber take a lead role in organizing and pulling together all of the businesses that are currently, and some have been struggling, and some have had a bad time over the last 8 years. But if you've survived this far, then you're a survivor. But I want to see the chamber take the lead role. I want to see them organize businesses so that they decide what it is that High River needs to market itself as. And I want to see them take the lead role on that. I don't think it should be council or administration. It shouldn't be their role to sort of tell business owners, here's what we're going to do and here's what High River should be. I think it should be the business community and local residents saying, this is what we want our community to be, and this is how we want to put it out there so that the public is aware of us again. So I'd like to see initiatives. I would support initiatives. I'd love to see somebody organize chamber a business summit of local businesses, just to get the ball rolling and to start people start talking to each other again, because because there hasn't been that level of cooperation and discussion. I think there's a lot of confusion about um, you know what the downtown needs, what areas outside of the downtown needs. I did speak with somebody just when I was out door knocking just the other day, that they were upset that they feel left out because their businesses are along the 12th, and
Mm.
they don't get Christmas decorations, they don't get the type of support and attention that the downtown core gets. So there's a lot of issues in the business community, and that needs to be sort of brought out, discussed, and then move forward. So that kind of strategizing is where we need to go, is my position. But I want to see business lead it. I don't want to see council or administration lead it. I think council and administration should get behind it and support it and push it with everything that we've got available to us. But I really think it should be business led. And then, of course, I mean,
Excellent.
there's just good governance issues as well. I mean, I, I I feel strongly about seniors housing and affordable housing issues as well. I work with somebody that works at the manor, and so I've been hearing about what's been going on, especially during the COVID era. But I did ask for a private briefing with Lorraine Engels from West Winds, just to help bring myself up to speed on those issues as well. And we had a wonderful meeting, and there's a lot to unpack there. But I was really happy to hear that for most in most cases we're keeping up with demand. There's always more that you can do, and we did talk about what we can be doing as far as council members. And there's three important things, and it was making sure that the funding is consistent, and what services needs, so that funding from the provincial and federal government sort of rises and drops, and it's all over the board. So um, helping to promote consistent funding is one of the things. An up to date list of town properties that are available for future expansion of facilities, that needs to be, if it's not done, made sure that it's up to date as well. And then making sure the coordination of services for everybody that is in the town, and making sure that those services are available for everybody. So those were the three key issues that we talked about, and I would absolutely endorse and get behind. Um, and I think I'll just throw communications out there. I'd like to see the town improve the way that it communicates. I do feel sometimes that things can be certainly explained a lot better or updated a lot better as well. I mean, I know that the town is working to improve their online presence, and they are making some strides forward. But I mean, before I was involved with the Whistle Stop, I've been on the board of directors of the museum here. I'm in the Rotary Club. I'm a member of the Legion. I'm a reserve officer with the Armed Forces as well. I'm in the Air Cadet program at the High River Airport. So I'm a second lieutenant, or I'm a lieutenant with the Royal Canadian Air Force. Um, and before that, I spent 25 years in broadcast media, and you know. Um, I understand communications for the public, and as well, I've been a military public affairs officer in my role with cadets. So I see both sides of the picture, right? I see both sides of communicating from the government's position and from the public's position as well, which is kind of a unique position to be in. And I think there's simple things that you could do to keep everybody in the loop. I mean, the most obvious thing is the bridge. I mean, that there were lots of updates there that could have been shared from the town, just so that everybody is aware of what's going on and not surprised about what's happening.
Yeah.
So
I
there's
love that.
yeah,
I agree.
it's a simple fix. It's a really simple fix, and I think it's just something that bureaucracies sometimes just overlook, and they kind of assume that, well, we told everybody what this was about, and they should know. So,
It's such an interesting topic. I bet you and I could talk about it all day.
mhm.
But we only
Yeah,
have
sorry,
a
I don't
couple
want
more
to.
minutes left.
Yeah,
So I'm going to power through the next couple questions.
absolutely.
Um, so the next one, I'm just going to give a little bit of background for the people that might be watching. It's regarding the AUMA Local Democracy Pledge. And what are your thoughts on that pledge? And have you taken the pledge? And for those that don't know, it is a pledge to keep local government local and nonpartisan.
Yeah, and you know what? I took a look at that pledge, and there's absolutely nothing in there that I would disagree with. So I will go on the record. I haven't printed it off and physically signed it, but I will go on record as saying yes, I endorse those principles and directions. I won't go through them all right now, but absolutely yes, I do agree.
Awesome. And last question, we just have just under a minute left, and then we'll have a little bit of a wrap up. But what are your thoughts on the town's current number one strategic priority of a long term water strategy for High River?
Yeah, I mean, water is growth, and this is an issue that I know the previous councils have been very effective on making sure that we have access to clean water, and clean water going into the future as well. And but as far as council goes, these are issues of intermunicipal negotiations as well. You need to take a larger, sort of broader regional picture, and an understanding on these issues. So I mean, I think good work has been done. But yes, it does need to continue to be our number one priority for the community for growth in the future, because we're not growing if we don't have the clean water to be able to do that. And and I know that the town is moving forward with their water treatment project. I believe that they're at the phase now where they're putting out a tender. I think engineering has a firm that they want to work for a study, like the design study phase right now. So that is obviously going to be a major infrastructure project going forward for this next council as well. And I look forward to sort of going over that entire project.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, David. Is there anything else you'd like to say just in closing before we wrap up our interview today?
Yeah, I'm very excited about the future, the next 4 years. I'm very optimistic about doing business in High River. As I mentioned before, the Whistle Stop has been a tremendous experience. I'm extremely proud of the work we've done there. And I'm just in general, I'm excited to be in High River. I'm excited to see the future. And I think no matter what happens, this is going to be a good council. There's a lot of good people running, and I'm very optimistic and very happy about the future direction of where the town's going.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And people can find your information on your Facebook page, your website.
Yeah, there's Facebook, Instagram, and a website as well. It's usually some version of Moretta for Council. And if you don't find what you're looking for there, you can always just send me an email.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, David.
You're very welcome. Thank you.